Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Ignite Your Heart and Soul right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. My wonderful guest today is Adele Bernard. We're going to be talking about transition clarity. What does that mean? Which said you're here for a reason. Your soul's choose this moment to share its unique gifts. In a world of constant change, life flows effortlessly when you are grounded, present, and aligned with your divine energy. This talk explores our soul's blueprint through alignment with your business, understanding your structures, intuitive messages, and the evolving human consciousness. By releasing outdated patterns and embracing your connection to the reason you are in business, you'll discover how to live in harmony with your true path. Are you ready to walk yourself home, embody the life you are meant to live? Adele is a change advocate, intuitive guide based in Calgary, Alberta, specializing in guiding individuals to reconnect with the hearts and ignite the unite the unique light. Through her work, Adele supports people in aligning with their inner energy, with their authentic path, helping them to release stagnant energy and rediscover their true selves. So that is something we're going to be talking about today, rediscovering our true selves, because after all, there is only you in your life, right? And it goes with you wherever you go. You can't outrun yourself. So you may as well do the work to have your own self-discovery and find out who you really are, what your gift is to share, and ignite it and share it with others. Welcome to the show, Adele.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Tranquility is not something that people often associate with. Tranquility is something people strive for. I want tranquility. I want clarity, but they become so anxious over it that they're blocking the very receiving of it, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. And I like tranquility is like that kind of word that's kind of out there, but what does it really mean? And it's really bringing it home to your heart, to
Yes.
the essence of who you are. And that's where I find most people have forgotten. We're
Mm-hmm.
so busy doing our lives, getting the podcasts out, getting the posts out, and we're just like, what about stopping and taking a breath? Right?
Yes.
Feel
Yes.
that tranquility in your heart, and then it's like, oh, there's the magic,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's where the flow of God is.
Yes.
And it's not
There is.
about, yeah,
Yeah.
like whatever you call your God, spirit,
Yes. God, universe, spirit,
the
source, energy. Yeah.
yeah, the
The
essence of
divine.
who you are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because like you said, no one is ever going to be you. No one
Mm-mm.
has ever been you, and
Mm-hmm.
you are the only you that's here.
Yes.
So show
Like
up.
it or not. So you may as well learn to like it. And, I always say with people, you cannot make good decisions when you're anxious, depressed, or fearful, because everything in your body and your mind and everything crunches up. And if
Hmm.
everything is crunched up, there is no flow, there's no chi, no energy, no wisdom flowing throughout your body. So by taking that breath and being present in the moment, switching off to what's outside there, just focusing in and being at one with
Yeah.
self, suddenly the clarity starts coming. But it cannot come when you're
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's why, like, people say, well, I don't have time to meditate an hour a day. And I go, guess what? Neither do I.
Mm,
But I do have time for 3 deep breaths
mhm,
or some tapping or
mhm.
just realigning to where I am in my heart every
Yes.
hour on the hour.
Mhm. And I'm glad that you brought up tapping, emotional freedom technique. You can do this anywhere. You're
Hmm.
on your way home in traffic grid, just start tapping. Even in a
Hmm.
meeting, you can start tapping underneath the table with your hands if you can't do it over your head. There's always something you can do with tapping. And it's just, again, it's that technique, isn't it? To just honing you in.
And even if you're in a meeting that
Hmm.
you're like, well, I can't start tapping, right? You can visualize the
Yes,
sequence.
yes,
It still
yes,
works.
yes. Yes, I remember a scientific thing that they did where they had people and they put all these electrodes, everything to measure them. And they had people go through an experience purely in their mind. And
Hmm.
they could measure it completely. If it was something fearful, if it was something joyful, they saw different parts of the brain, come up. And so, don't underestimate. I may not be able to do it physically, but I can do anything in my mind.
Well, and that's where I'm gonna bring up the fact like whether you can or you can't, your brain doesn't know the difference,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So why not keep it in the positive or in the everything's achievable,
Yes.
right? It's just a matter of what door is going to open up to find that.
Yes. What doors are you willing to open up?
Yeah.
Right? Can you get out of the life expectation? Can you get out of the dictation? Can you step into the unknown?
Hmm.
Because the unknown is where the answers are. Otherwise, we won't be in this situation, right? It's opening up those doors in wonderment and
Hmm.
exploration of the unknown and what techniques work for you.
Hmm. Well, and it's interesting because um, when I started doing the tapping technique, it was with Roger Callahan, which is the freedom thought
Mm,
field, right? And as a psychiatrist, he was just like, there's got to be a better way than talk
hmm.
therapy.
Hmm.
And he had this one client that he used to share the story a lot was that petrified of water. Well, his office looked out onto his pool.
Hmm.
She'd be by the door, like she wouldn't even come into the office, right? And when he started doing the tapping sequences with her, she's like, "Do you mind if I go sit by the pool?"
Hmm. Hmm.
Right?
Yes.
And he
Yeah.
said he had worked with her for years,
Hmm.
and she wouldn't
Yeah.
come past the door. And then do a bit little, and people say, "Well, it's woo, it's whatever." It's like the tapping is just ancient wisdom
Absolutely.
through the acupressure points, through the your meridians that your body knows how to do it,
Hmm. And
right?
again, something you can do anywhere at any time. It's a
Hmm.
fantastic, you don't need, if you haven't got 10 minutes to meditate or 5 minutes to meditate, you can take a deep breath anywhere and
Hmm.
you can do some form of tapping. And if you can't do it over the head, there's always different, or as you said, visualize it.
Well,
Just,
and you and go to a playground,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You watch a kid that's totally in tune with who they are and what they're doing. They're
yes,
tapping.
absolutely.
Like they'll just start going tap 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 tap, and you're like, huh, wonder what he's working out, or she,
Hmm. Yeah,
right?
yes.
And it's quite funny.
And I think if we kind of made it, excuse me, folks, this meeting is getting too heated. Let's everybody take five. I want everyone to get some deep breaths, do a little tapping, and let's bring it down.
Yeah,
And I think, why can't we incorporate that in? Why
I
can't
do.
we bring that to the boardroom? Because things do get heated, and bad decisions are made during that time. Things are always said that shouldn't be said. Just
Mhm.
bring it down. Bring it
Yeah.
down. Have
Well, and
everybody tap.
it's also like if you get into the whole color therapy and wearing the clothes that are right for you, it's
Hmm.
not about even look anymore.
No.
It's like if you have a big important meeting and you already know your commander temper
Yes.
personality, don't wear a red shirt.
Yes.
You haven't opened your mouth and they're going, "Why is he screaming at me?"
Yeah. Yes. Set the stage. Set the stage in which
Right?
people will receive you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's so fascinating
Mm,
because when I started learning that years ago, I'd be like, what do I feel like today as I get dressed? I'd let my intuition say, oh, you're feeling a bit blue today. No, you're feeling a bit green today. And I'm like,
uh-huh.
oh, what energies am I working with today?
Yes. And I think that's something we need to pay attention to. I generally lay something out the night before, and but I may put it on and go,
Yeah.
doesn't feel right. And it's like, please honor
Mhm.
that, go to your wardrobe, and you might have to try on two or three things because, oh no, No, I feel comfortable. And but you love that outfit. You have great success in that outfit. Why can't you wear it today? Because your energy isn't matching that outfit. And maybe the universe is telling you your energy needs to be this for what you're about to do.
And it also shows that you're paying attention to the little nudges that spirit's trying to share you,
Exactly. Pay
right?
attention to the nudge, nudge, wink, wink, so you don't get the cosmic two by four.
Yeah. But it's even if you're driving somewhere and you're like, well, no, I always go down this road and you're being told to turn
Mm.
right. And you're like, why am I being told to turn right? Just turn right.
Yes.
And then you get to your destination, saw a totally different way of getting there, and you're like, oh, that's expensive. And then you find out the road you normally take had a
Mm.
huge pile up, and you're like, oh, now I
Yes.
wasn't late. I found a new way. Everything's good.
We don't listen in. We kind of dismiss that inner voice. And that is kind of, you can have people that are Christians and godly, etc., and they don't listen to the inner voice. And they say, well, that's the divine voice. You believe in God, but you don't think God could speak to you,
No, they
right?
believe in the church.
They believe in the church. Yes, exactly.
Totally different.
I know. And that's why I'm not pro that at all. We see that in evidence of actions.
Hmm.
And so if your actions are mean to anybody or not inclusive, then that is not God's message. That is a
Hmm.
human message. Um, but, the thing is, you trust that God is going to show you the way, and then you dismiss the voice that's inside of you. Now, you've got to also make sure that the voice inside of you isn't old programming that is detrimental. Learn to recognize that intuitive voice of turn right, do this, wear that, say this, don't do that. Listen to that voice. You'll understand where it comes from because it comes from the very core of you. It doesn't necessarily come from your head. And it's distinguishing between old programming and patterning and the inner voice guidance.
Well, and it's also we have free choice,
Yeah. Hmm. We do.
right? And when everything is falling apart and you're going, but God, haven't you heard my prayers?
Hmm.
And the answer is always you have free choice.
Yes. This
We
is
are
your choice to
we
make.
are creating
Mm.
what we have in our life.
Yeah.
And it might look awful in the moment,
Hmm.
but trust when you get through the veil of whatever problem is in your sphere right at this moment, there's more coming.
Hmm.
There's better coming.
Hmm. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
Yeah.
But
And
and
that's
that,
the hardest. That's
oh yeah.
hard.
Yeah. And you know what? While it's happening to you, you can go through your emotion.
Hmm.
Have an emotion with it. That's quite okay. Don't become emotional over it. It is like, okay, I've had my tears. I don't like what is happening, but what was it for?
Hmm.
And people who do that generally discover their courage, their strength, their abilities, and their
Hmm.
meaningful purpose. Right? So it's go through. There is no avoiding. You can't go around, under, or give it to someone else. You have to go through it.
Well, and it was funny because I was just like, what's with the waterworks? I'm not a crier, right?
Uh-huh.
And the other day the message came through of, well, God can't cry. So he's crying through you. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh, like that's a different twist. Just
Yes.
like it's just like you want to have that tranquil moment.
Hmm.
Allow God to wash dishes with you
Hmm.
because he
Yeah.
can't.
True. And this is the journey of the
Hmm.
human journey. We're divine creatures having a human experience. And the gift of that is, as an entity of all divine wisdom and energy, they can't touch, feel, or taste
Hmm.
or hold. And that's the gift of being a human. And when we do marry the two together and become that divine human being, then everything we touch, taste, and feel becomes so much more meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the biggest message that I'm trying to use in my life is that instead of being busy doing,
Yeah.
how are you showing up in a caring, loving, compassion, kindness way?
How are we being,
Yeah.
not doing?
Well, but
Mm.
it's also in the feminine that's rising, right? Like
Hmm.
we're in a different world now,
Yes.
right? As of November of 24, we are in a different world, and it's getting into basic astrology. Aquarius is the rising of the feminine. How do we
Mm.
come to support and community, collaborations, kindness, and love? And this is for men and women, the
Yes.
feminine rising. And
Yeah.
we're all learning to navigate this new world because no one has been here before.
No. It's well, this particular world is common sense love, feminine common sense love, but it's also bringing out the more feminine in the men to be more balanced in their own life instead of just misogynistic men and I've got to be the hero, I've got to be the decision maker, is that it's okay to bring the feminine out and find the balance within themselves and embrace the strengths and the gift that they are. And that to look at a woman as equally being able to do that, equally being able to manage everything. And I think that's what we're seeing with women today. It's not about replacing men. And it's not about wearing the man suit to prove that we're equal. It's about stepping into our femininity and
Mhm.
understanding the gift that that is in itself.
Mhm. And like the whole equality thing, I can go into a building of workers and I'll see men and women. I'll see you guys are in your masculine as the women and they're fighting for equality and and I'm
Mm,
like, and then you'll see other women who are just being their feminine self and
mm,
they're waking more than the men and they're not
yes.
toting their horn. They're just coming and doing their job and moving on, right?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting because a lot of the struggles and strifes of humanity has because we weren't balanced.
No,
We're
it is a
trying to be what we're not. And
yeah.
then, like with working with men, every time it's like I was never given the option,
No permission. Yeah.
right? Like
Hmm.
I like say you and your husband and wife are equal partners, equal pay. Why is the wife staying home?
Hmm.
Maybe the husband's better to stay home with the kids.
Yeah.
Have the conversation.
Yes. And it doesn't demean the man. It
No,
doesn't, for a
they might
man.
be more nurturing.
Right,
Like,
exactly. And it also, maybe something, as you said, they're better at the present time, but it could
hmm
be okay. For the first kid, I'll stay at home. The second kid, you stay at home.
yeah.
It's that balancing act. And it's I have a daughter who's expecting number three.
hmm
And although there's some things she definitely does that he doesn't, um, and that's his strength. And so they each one have recognized you're better at this than I am, but they are so inclusive when it comes to raising the kids. And
hmm
whoever's on diaper duty, whoever's on get up in the middle of the night, whoever's on gets to
hmm
sleep in the morning, it is we both made this child, we're both parenting this child, and we're
hmm
both there for each other. And I think that's is where we see our younger people, millennial and Gen X, are beginning to actually understand it's not about one lording over the other. It's about finding that balance within ourselves to bring
hmm
about that equilibrium in our society.
Well, and I like how you said that because I've been having more and more conversations about take the gender out of it
Yeah.
and just be balanced within yourself.
Yes.
Check in with your emotions so you don't have the flare ups of like crying or anger or whatever. Like we don't need to have those.
No.
When we have them, it's showing we are in balance in our humanness.
Yes. But
And so,
also, if you're a crier, because you get emotional over things, good or bad, it's okay. Cry. It's part of your releasing,
well,
right?
I
We
know,
don't,
but it's like,
but 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 don't
don't beat
whine.
yourself. Yeah, don't beat yourself up over it.
No, have a good cry, spend
Yeah,
it, and then, and get on with it.
yeah.
Right. And I think that's kind of where that common sense love is coming about, is that there are certain things that we need to look at and go, I'm not tolerating that.
hmm
Um, this has to change. This behavior is not acceptable. That
hmm
means you're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You're not throwing the person away. You're helping them change the way they present themselves so that it's more cohesive. and
Hmm.
kind and loving towards everyone else, because
Yeah.
then that kindness and loving is more towards them.
Hmm. Well, and the old saying, right? Do unto others how you want to be treated.
Exactly. Exactly.
If you want
And
to be boxed around, box. If you want
yes,
to be kind and speak, then be kind and speak.
I would say that for people who don't know how to love, the first step is kindness. Do kind acts.
Hmm.
Be kind and considerate for other people.
But self
Oh, so
first,
self, absolutely.
right? If you need a
Yes.
hug, hug yourself.
Yeah. If you find yourself talking negatively to yourself,
Yeah.
yeah, catch it and go, no, I'm going to rephrase that,
Hmm.
because we get caught, especially the older we are, in old dialogue, the old patterning,
Yeah.
that we say things and it's like we thought we'd moved on from that, but the verbiage is still there.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I'm sorry, you're so yesterday. Let's
Yeah.
change the way we're going to say that. And you need to say it a few times in a way for it to then become part of the present programming. So don't beat yourself up because that saying came out. At the same time, catch it and rephrase it.
Well, and it's also like, as we talked about the younger generations, I'll be like, stop the tape, right? And then I remember my niece was going, stop the tape. And I go, yeah, it's an old term. We had, the cassette tapes, right?
Yes.
And she started
What's a
laughing.
cassette tape?
Yeah. No, but she started laughing. She goes, well, I get the concept, but stop the tape. I go, stop the tape. I
Hmm.
I don't need to, like, that's not me anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm full of sayings, especially being British, and that I get teased about all the time. But they're
Yeah.
harmless ones, so it doesn't matter. I think it's more the inner dialogue. Oh, I can't, or nobody will, or I can't be accepted like that way. And it's where nobody will accept you until you accept yourself.
Yeah.
So first one you do is work on you.
That's all we have to work on.
Yes. That's
Every,
how you work
see,
with other people, is by
well,
working on you.
so the guidance I've been getting is that the movie will play however it's supposed to play.
Hmm.
Everything from this point forward is an inside job.
Hmm.
So if you
Yeah.
want the characters to change in your movie
Yeah.
outside, start an inside. The
Hmm.
inside is the first drop of the ocean that's going to ripple.
Exactly. How you can see that when people are being nice to other people, but you can tell there's an agenda. They're not
Yeah.
really being nice. They're just saying nice because they want something from you. Then you've got other people that may not say anything, but they're being nice to you and you know it's genuine. And we're so over fake people,
Hmm.
right? And I always say people aren't going to buy from you until they buy you. And if they don't buy you, they're not going to want to work with you or have
Hmm.
anything to do with you. So just because you can say it, and the salesman. We're all tired of the salesman, the con
Well,
artist, right? We want truth, inner
but
truth.
this is where people are misunderstanding the humanness is 7% of language is words.
Mm,
It's the body language. It's how you carry yourself. It's the presentation before you open your mouth. If you are genuinely, even the car salesman who's had a bad rap their whole entire
yes.
career, comes in with a very open, welcoming
Hmm.
posture, right? Stands back until the potential customer approaches them from how they react first, then they can say, browse around, let me know if you need anything, or oh, you're interested in this, let me show you. It's a whole different posture,
Yeah, it is.
right?
Yes.
And you
It's
talk
when
about the
I see you, the
fakeness.
client. I don't just see you as a dollar sign.
Yeah, and it's about everything. It's about the person who's at the gas station, at the restaurant, at see the person,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
We don't want to be treated as a number or
No,
a dollar sign or
no.
next. We want you. I mean, one of the biggest gifts that we can give ourselves and other people is time.
Hmm.
And if I'm going to give you time, I'm going to give it from,
That's
as a space that I really do mean it. I'm really giving up my time for you so that I can find something that it is that you need, right?
and
But
it's also our most expensive commodity,
it is, yeah.
right? And I was talking to some people the other day, and they're saying about the next convention and whatever, and I said, "Can I just throw something out there?" I said, "Stop going to LA and Florida." And they're like, "Why?" And I go, "Because you're not going to get service there. They know everybody comes there because of the theme parks, because of whatever." I said,
Hmm.
"Go to Timbuktu, who will be like shocked that you showed up into their hotel and
Exactly.
convention center. They'll bend over backwards for servicing you because, oh my gosh, someone showed up.
Yeah,
And it might be the most beautiful place on earth that you could ever find."
right. With the most beautiful people.
Yeah,
And you could end up with the best kind of clients
yeah,
because you gave them that time and you're not just chasing the next best thing,
yeah.
right? Or everybody
And
goes there.
and your participants will have a better time,
Hmm.
even though it might have cost a little bit more to get there in time and dollars. They will get the tranquil moments. They will get
Hmm.
the serenity. They'll get the out of the hustle and bustle. So whatever you're trying to share with them, it will actually go in.
And I think, the case in point, what we were talking about before, if you're
Hmm.
going to go to these places, don't, book in the night before and go straight into a meeting the next day. Come a day early,
Hmm.
wander around the town, get a feel for the people, absorb their energy. That when you do actually come to presenting something,
Hmm.
that energy signature is there. You know how to
Hmm.
recognize it, you know how to match it or elevate it. But it's not just about you coming in, pitch, 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 off you go next.
Hmm.
It's about you respecting the people and the place and the energy. And then whatever it is that you are talking to, you are talking with them, not at them.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, and here's an example. It's really funny. So we're in a family vacation, and my nephew had left his phone cord. Not a big deal,
We
right?
all do. I've done it
I
many
know.
times.
But this is where it becomes interesting. So the house we were at, she used to have a really big position in one of the big hotels. So she wraps it up and she puts it in, like, "I'll get it back to him." And he's like, "You're joking." And I go, "Why would she be joking? She is customer service
Hmm.
for a huge, expensive hotel.
Right.
Even though she left that job, doesn't mean the customer service part
No,
ends."
she's just transformed her
Yeah,
skills into something else,
yeah,
but you're always going to be that. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's even when I think about, like, oh, it's just a waitress. Are you joking? You
Yeah.
imagine like the people you served who
Yes.
recognize you later when you're in your career, when you're in, oh, I remember, like, I got out of a really bad speeding ticket one night, right? And I was just like, "Oh, we're done." And then, of course, he's like, "Have you been drinking?" I'm like, "No." Right? But my friend was using my hairspray. This is the funniest story. My friend's using my hairspray, and it had a huge alcohol content.
Oh no.
So my car does smell like alcohol.
Uh-huh.
So long and short, he lets me off. His partner was mad that that he let me off. And then I was like, "You're letting me off? Thank you." And he says, "Yes, because you served my wife and I our amazing anniversary dinner." And I'm like, "Oh, that's ever sweet." So when they came in another time to the restaurant, I had camaraderie with him,
Exactly. I was
you
in the
know?
business, restaurateuring, of owned restaurants and been in them for many, many, many years, training people and I didn't always remember names, but I remember what they had.
Hmm.
And it's, would you like to try something different today? And it was always about the personable. I worked
Hmm.
for this Israeli guy in a brilliant steakhouse back in South Africa. You could cut his meat with a butter fork, butter knife. It
Oh,
was just
wow.
so delicious. Beautiful Rockford salad and everything else. But he was an asshole. He was just so despicable towards people. I went in there and they were doing, and I'm talking back to the 70s, folks. So they were doing 500 a night, which sounds like nothing today, but for a
Yeah.
tiny little place like that. Um, when I left, which actually the clientele asked me to leave because they couldn't take the abuse that he was giving me anymore, they were doing 1500 plus a night.
Wow.
Right. And it came down to is the fact that I made people feel welcome. They came because they really loved the steak, but they didn't want to come because of him. So I managed to kind of get him to backseat it, go and cook, let me kind of run the restaurant. And it was about making people feel seen and
Hmm.
heard and checking in on them or, what's the update, taking that little extra time. And I think that is consideration. That is respect. It's not about the tip. It's about just everybody wants to be seen. Everybody
Hmm.
wants to count. You're not just, I mean, the restaurants today play the music loud because they want you to eat and go and turn the table over. And
Hmm.
to kind of get service today where they actually see you and pay attention to you, not just as food put in front of you, but as a human
Hmm.
being, it's hard these days. Um,
Well, and um, to that point, um, I don't go during busy times.
right.
I do the late lunch, early dinner,
Yes.
right? And I always, as we sit down, what can I get you? I said, you know what? We want our drinks, and we'll flag you when we're ready to order.
Mm,
And they go, what? I go, we will let you know when we're ready
mm,
for something else because
yeah.
we have a lot of chatting to do. We
Yes.
haven't seen. And they're like, okay. And years ago, it was always like, what restaurant do you work in?
Hmm.
Right. Especially if I was with my friends that all worked in the service industry,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
We'd go
Hmm.
in on Monday when it's slow, and we were just like, we're here the afternoon, and they go, perfect.
Well,
And then,
Monday was our Saturday.
I know, and they
Right.
would
So we
leave,
work the
right?
weekends and Monday would be kind of the off day and that would be our Saturday. That's where we go and catch everything. And
Yeah,
that for the service industry, that was our Saturday and we went off and had fun. And
yeah.
yes, we want the time. We know how this works, right? And but yeah, we're here for the enjoyment of the meal and the conversation because the conversation is a part of the meal.
And just to get back to the steakhouse or whatever, it's like, oh, let's go, ABC restaurant. Really? Thought you didn't really like the meal. Well, it was good, but the service was phenomenal, so I want to go
Hmm.
there.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right?
And
You'll take a lesser meal to feel important, to feel nurtured, to
right.
feel
Or,
loved.
or you'll stop going to a place where the food was okay, but the service was atrocious and the atmosphere stank. And do you want to go back there? No,
Yeah.
you don't. And I think that whatever you're doing in life, whether you're in business or whether you're just, part of the community, nobody wants to be around misery moo or people that have an agenda. It screams from them that what do they want out of you? They're calculating. You can see it in their eyes, or it's the people that look you in the eye. Hey, hi, how are you doing? How is your day?
Hmm.
Where you
Hmm.
feel seen? Who you want to, be more interactive with?
Hmm. Well, and it's funny. There's a Vietnamese place that I go very irregular because I don't eat out, and I'll walk in, and she'll say regular, and I'm like, sure, because if it's wrong, I'm sending it back, right?
I
And
don't do that.
no, she's never had, well, there's only certain foods I can eat, right?
Right.
And so I feel like I don't come enough for you to know what I order.
Hmm.
Like I might go once a year.
Hmm.
And she goes, but I remember you. And I'm like, it's so cool. Like
Yeah.
I'm just blown away that
Yes.
I go to this restaurant maybe once a year.
It's the same with a grocery store.
Yeah.
Because you go in there and if you see somebody that you've been through their teller before, you kind of want to be in line and see them, catch up with them. And
Hmm.
you might have exchanged 30 seconds of conversation,
Hmm.
but it really does feel like an interaction. And
Hmm.
that's another thing with any of your servers. Coffee people, I'll have a latte with the half this and this or that. It kind of reminds me of LA Story, this whole complicated coffee. And there's a huge lineup behind you. And this person's being funny-duddy about it. And, you can see the person is stressed. So, when I get there, I go, how's your day?
Hmm.
Oh, fine. I said, it's a bad one, huh? I said, just take a deep breath. It'll get better. And in just
Mm-hmm.
doing that, I've already shown I see you. I recognize that you're frazzled,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to get better. So she looks forward to it getting better rather
Mm-hmm.
than, oh my God, I can't wait for this day to be over. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's not only what we need to do with ourselves. The day may not have started out right. That doesn't mean the rest of the day is going to be bad. It's a
Mm-hmm.
game. Tap, change my opinion or change my
Yeah.
emotion around it, take a deep breath, and then how can I make this day better?
But it's also, who are you to come in and think you're better than the barista making your coffee?
Exactly. Exactly.
Check your ego at the door.
This is what I always
Make your
call
own
the
coffee.
exactly. It's what I call the janitor and the CEO complex. The CEO is up in his ivory tower waiting for that person to come up, see all the glitter and the gold and cut a deal. But if that rest of that building is dirty or sticky or tardy, that opinion of the CEO has changed by the time they've got up there. So the janitor is one of the most important people because the janitor has set the stage for that person to go in. Oh, look how clean and shiny and this and that everything is. And so they're up there ready to do a deal. But do not dismiss the people. And the pandemic showed us that. The truckers that came in with the food, the garbage people, the nurses, the people at the grocery stores, they're
Yeah.
all putting their life on the line in order to serve us.
Mm-hmm.
And have we forgotten our gratitude, folks? I hope not.
Well, and it's funny because in my corporate career, I always knew who the janitors were.
Hmm.
And people are like, what? And I go, they come and clean up.
Yes,
Know their name. You'll get
yes.
special brief. Like, if there's an accident of spill, like, you just call them up
Yeah,
directly,
yeah,
you know?
exactly. I think the way we treat people is a reflection on how we treat ourselves. And if you treat people unkindly, you're clearly being very unkind to yourself. And so, you meet somebody and go, "Oh, aren't they marvelous?" And they go, "Mm-mm, don't feel it," because again, they're saying all the right things. They're being schwammy, but you
Mhm.
feel that they're not authentic or they're not being true to themselves.
Yeah.
But then you meet somebody who's really authentic with themselves, and immediately you want to know more because you know what you're getting from them is honest truth from the way they feel it, the way they
Mhm.
see it, because they're living it. So we want to stop doing and stop being what other people expect us to be and start being who we really are and allowing our essence to be shared out as an invitation to others.
Mhm. And it's all about coming home to the truth of who we are.
Yes,
To
absolutely.
to stop with the stories we've been told that we are, to stop with the conditioning. Um, and that's really becoming apparent in the last year or so, that it's like, but I'm this. And I'm like, really? Your parents tell you that?
Mm-hmm.
Your
Mm-hmm.
partner tell you that? Your teachers tell you that?
Is this
Who
part
are
of your conditioning?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like who really are, and so this is where, like, in my program, is I bring them back to that 5-year-old.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Who were you before you were given titles? You had to grow up to do this, you had to do this, you had to support you. Like, no, find out where that little girl or little boy says, why did you want to be Superman? Why did you want
Mm-hmm.
to be Wonder Woman?
Well, a narcissist is a child that grew up without being taught to be kind and considerate of others and constantly looking for attention and approval. And they are inner children that are desperate for attention for all the wrong reasons
Hmm.
and will get it at anybody's cost. They don't
Hmm.
care as long as they get it. And of course, we're seeing this across the board at the present moment in politics. And, it's a real scream for us to pay attention to the inner child. And I did a show a little while ago on the 7 word philosophy, where this gentleman did a whole load of research. And he says between the ages of 3 and 6, we form 7 words that become our patterning, they become our driver's seat. And when we look at that inner child that is constantly looking for that attention, to be seen and heard or approval, It's coming from this dialogue that it's been imposed upon it that now becomes the driver's seat. And I think if we're aware of those words, if we're aware of what that inner child needs in order to move on or grow up, or simply sometimes that inner
Hmm.
child needs a hug and loving embrace, right? But we've got to pay attention to that inner child.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, whether it's a narcissist or people pleaser or
Mm,
an alcoholic, it's all stemmed from looking for outside validation.
yes. Outside in, not inside out. And everything is inside out. You
Yeah.
want anything, any quality, any meaningful purpose in life. You want to be a part of something bigger than yourself. It comes from the inside first. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter what you do on the outside. All the good works you do, that's great. But if the inside is still shattered, you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Hmm. And that's where when people ask me about God, I said,
Mm.
well, it's not in a church
Hmm.
because a church has the most shattered people
Oh, you name
anywhere,
it. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where I know from the moment I took this suit called
Hmm.
a body, God's with me.
Yes.
God's within me at all times. It's I who forget in the darkness.
Exactly, exactly. We're all made out of particles of the universe. The
Hmm.
universe is the God-like wisdom. And when we allow that wisdom to come through us, it resonates with our heart in truth and clarity. It's given to our spirit in action, and our mind finds the
Hmm.
clarity it needs in the now. And it's just anybody can open up that channel and receive that wisdom, receive that inner guidance, have that compass that they can follow that will always
Hmm.
keep them on, quote, the straight and narrow. But not everybody believes they can, but we all can, can't we?
Hmm. Absolutely. And it's not even like the straight and narrow of
Hmm.
like
No, there's no straight.
no, but it's not even like in a belief because that's not truth.
Hmm.
It's your straight and narrow with your creator,
Yes,
whatever you call it, and why you took a suit.
yes,
And I just want to step touch on this is that we are all here because we were chosen to be here
yeah.
at this time.
Hmm.
We're not broken. We're figuring it out in our awakening process.
Yes.
But just know you're chosen to be here. Many, many souls could not come.
Hmm.
They weren't, they didn't have the experience to help us through the biggest transition that a world will ever see.
And when most likely when you look at us, we've all souls that have been here many times, and every lifetime that we've had has prepared us for this massive change that is
Hmm.
taking place now, and all the negative, even the downright evil that we're seeing in the world right now, is basically just to show us how far we've gone as human beings the wrong way,
Hmm.
and then it's that invite for the pendulum to swing the other way in igniting our heart and souls and spirits in kindness, consideration, and passion and love. And that's really the true e-commerce. That really is the true enrichment and abundance. But
Hmm.
we had to see the worst of it to understand the best of it.
Hmm. Exactly.
But we
And
are prepared for it.
well, and I mean, whether you believe in what's happening politically, governmental wise, like it just doesn't matter because everything and everyone is in their place for our awakening,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Let
Yeah.
the movie play.
And we're seeing evidence of people awakening because when people stand up against what is wrong and they
Hmm.
stand up in peace and in unison, then
Hmm.
we're already seeing that orchestra, creating a beautiful crescendo. About 7.5 years ago, the universe gave me a saying: I'm going to shake you up, to wake you up, for you to step up and change it up and grow up vibrationally, but also as a human race, grow up. This
Hmm.
is your time to grow up. We need you to be on a higher frequency. You're behind
Yeah.
time. And we need you to be more on that loving kindness, consideration, unity, in harmony with each other, because you're going to see such creativity,
Hmm.
such you know things that can happen that are so beyond our comprehension right now because we're still on the lower plane. So we need to break through to that higher dimension so we can understand what the next part of our journey is about.
Hmm. Well, and it's even like if you're thinking about the expansion of the third dimension to the fifth dimension and beyond, um, I heard the other day, I can't remember exactly who it was, but they're saying in order for us to have our vibration on the fifth dimension, we're actually anchoring in the seventh and eighth
Yes.
dimension
Bing!
because we
Yeah.
have to be higher to vibrate lower.
Yes.
And I was like, now that's interesting,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So, and then you even look at the animals and stuff, and they're saying, well, how come so many people are going to horses to be healed?
Yes. Yes.
Because they're the only animal that has made it through every lifetime.
Hmm. And that they're
And
literally
they,
their heart expands 3 times more in its vibration than ours.
yeah. And I was like, it makes me sad that I didn't understand when I had a horse
Mm.
how much he was there helping.
But your subconscious knew,
Oh, I know. He
even if
still
your
sends me
conscious didn't.
messages.
Exactly.
He'll be
And
like, "You're not getting it." And I'm like, "I'm not getting it."
and this is the thing when we look at our animals today, they've become so much more cleverer and so much more interactive. And they're here to show us, to heal
Mhm,
us, to show us another way forward. um I've had 4 border collies, and my last one died about 9 years ago, and I miss her, and I've got a
mm,
beautiful oil painting that one of my clients did for me up there, and she's still with me, she's still guiding me. And
mhm,
one day she'll guide another dog to me when the time is right. But the beauty of animals is they speak to your heart and soul.
yeah.
They speak to your spirit, which translates to your mind to know what you need to know when you need to know it, right? There's such wisdom. Same with the trees. There is
Mhm.
so much wisdom in the rustle of those leaves and the
But
the
the
vibration
trees,
that the trees let off.
the trees was our first internet.
Yes. Literally, Judy Dench did a beautiful documentary on that, where they
Okay.
actually had a slow camera on the fiber optics of how they um, communicate with each other through the roots. And like when a tree goes down, how it becomes life for something else, or out of it, another tree is grown. Nothing
Mhm.
is ever wasted. And there's no saying, well, you're a willow, we don't want you here. Only oaks are allowed here. None of that. None of
Well,
that.
willows are welcome anywhere because I'm a willow.
I'm a willow tree too. That's actually got in my
We,
will.
yeah, we are the wisdom keepers.
But also we're flexible. That's the thing, is that
Yeah.
I look at it as trees, on Earth, is that the older we get, more deep rooted we get, which means we have more fiber optic connection, vibrational
Hmm.
connection. Our tree grows strong in the trunk, but how flexible are our branches? And the beauty of a willow tree, it can really withstand the wind and be flexible this way or that way without breaking. And
Hmm.
it's like, when people choose to be flexible, they can bend with the wind and
Hmm.
not break with the wind. And I think that's
Because
something
they're
that's
so
less.
grounded in
Yes,
their roots.
exactly. Yeah.
And it was really interesting because I have a friend who does tours up through the Canadian Rockies, and we were just on a walk one day, and she says, "But a tree's more valuable on the ground than growing."
Yeah.
And I said, "Pardon me?" And so we went through some of like by some stumps, and she's showing me that wouldn't be living, that wouldn't be living, that.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Exactly.
oh my gosh. So the tree is like great for shade, wonderful. But as it lays, it
Hmm.
gives bounty to
Bounty.
5,000 other things.
I was in Tofino a couple of weekends ago on the island. I live on Vancouver Island, British Columbia. Beautiful island. Come and experience it. It's wonderful. And I was in Tofino, and on the way back, there is this. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name, but it's an ancient forest, and
Hmm.
you can walk through it, and you're seeing trees that have been around like 800 years. And then, there was a beautiful picture of a tree that a really old one, tall, big, and strong with its roots kind of out there. And right in front of it was a young'un, a little young tree coming into life. And that's the thing about wisdom.
Yeah.
It gets passed down. And
Yeah.
that tree, everything that it's gaining from the roots of the wisdom in its growth will make it grow mighty and strong. And,
Yeah.
also the forest never condemns another tree for being different or that it's fallen. Because as you said, there is no waste there. There is just love and support. Why can't we as human beings be more like a forest?
Well, and it's interesting because I remember like going to the redwood forest as a young child. And there was a tree that it was the trunk was so big they put the road through it. Well, it died a few years ago.
Oh.
And I was just like I felt like part of my childhood was over because it's like
Yeah.
you can't drive through the tree anymore when you go to the redwood forest. Like how sad.
Hmm.
But
But
then there's new life somewhere else for that
exactly, that's
tree,
the
right?
thing is pay attention. I walked down an avenue of trees one day with my dog, and they were all rustling like crazy. And I said to him, "You're too loud. I can't hear you." Every tree stopped. Not
Oh,
one
that's
leaf moved.
funny.
Not one leaf moved. And then it was a slow rustle. Listen, now I can hear you. Now, it's not speaking to me English in the head intellect. It's
Yeah.
speaking to my heart and soul and my spirit. And then whatever subliminal message I received becomes my action unknowingly afterwards, right? And that's the thing. Let the divine guide you. You don't always understand in verbiage, in the human clarity, why you're doing something or why something is happening or that something has happened. But your soul and your heart, your spirit does.
Hmm.
Trust them because if it feels right in the core, then it's right.
Hmm. Well, and that's the whole part of like coming back to the language thing, right?
Yes.
How are we listening to the rustle of the trees
Hmm.
if we think we always need spoken word?
Or if we think we're more superior.
Yeah.
I mean, the humans think they're more superior just because we can do things more, with our hands and things like that. But nature, Mama Earth can live without us anytime. She's
Well,
brilliant, right?
and you bring up Mother Earth, and everyone's like, "What's with all the weather? What's with?" And I'm
Yeah,
like,
she's pissed.
"She's coming into balance because
Yes,
she's looking after herself.
exactly, exactly.
And until we start being nicer, she's gonna keep ruffling our feathers."
I've got a thing about people say I ground. I go barefoot and ground all my sorrow and angst and everything into Mother Earth, and I go, but do you also ground in love and gratitude and joy? Because she's feeling all your misery and your moo, and it's cracking her up. So
Yeah.
how about we also speak to Mother Earth in whichever way we do that we connect and thank her, be grateful, show her love,
Hmm.
because she looks after us very, very well, but we're not appreciative of her.
Well, and that just brought the point of like, okay, I'm going to ground in Mother Earth. And how about we balance in each other?
Yes, exactly.
Whatever each other need, we balance in the truth of what is here.
And we're all very capable of it.
Yeah.
It's a question of we've got to get out of this doctrine of old paradigms and old programming and old expectations and realize all of those societal expectations that we grew up with, you should, you must, you this, you that, are causing the discord in the world right now. And that we need to change our verbiage. We need to change our energy pattern. We need to change what's important in life. And the enrichment and the abundance of each other's divine energy and loving, caring, and compassion is so much more
Yeah.
valuable than all the other that we've been taught. But we're in that shakeup and in that transition of growing up, stepping up, and changing it up. But it's happening kind of in a condensed version, right? It's
Hmm.
happening on steroids right now.
Hmm. Hmm. And I believe it's part of our awakening,
Hmm. Oh
right?
yeah, the shakeup,
Because
wake up. Yeah.
because the veil is only on our eyes.
Yes, yes, the heart knows, right? But are we willing to see? That's the
Yeah.
thing. When we're willing to see, we start to see, and we feel what we see. It's not just about thought. because thought can have you on a treadmill. But, are we willing to see what is being
Well,
shown to us?
and you get around, like I know you have grandkids, like you get around these younger ones,
Yeah.
they're smelling it. They're
Yes.
smelling like they're just like have no time for you if you're not in alignment.
Exactly, but they're also so profound. My grandson the other day, and he wasn't 4 at the time, and he said to me, Grandma, I'll love you even after you die. I'll love you forever. This is coming from a 3-year-old, understanding that there is life after death, and that it's only an end of the vessel, but the energy and the spirit. And although he doesn't know what you're talking about, energy and spirit, doesn't know that, but
He
intuitively
does.
knows, intuitively, yes, intuitively certainly does. And it's like, I put out a book last year, I've Forgotten Children, on the raising of our children and the disservice that we're doing them today. And if we actually nurtured more the beautiful essence of who they are and what they're doing and what their contribution is, they are the future of balance, of creativity, of beautiful divine excellence. So let us water and nurture them in a way that they should be, not
Mm-hmm.
in this expectation of you've got it this way. You're a
Hmm.
failure if you get a B. No, let's forget about A, B's, and C's, and
Hmm.
let's look at their contribution with their heart, soul, and spirit.
Hmm. Well, and there's so many examples because it's like um when parents are like, well, I'm just better with the kids than my wife is, whatever. And it's like, well,
Hmm.
no, she's just out of balance when they're, and so they're calling her out on it,
Yeah.
right? Or, um, wow, if I could have learned how my child's learning right now, I might not have had to go to university.
Or I might have, because I was non-academic, I was a sickly child, so I never finished school and didn't do much schooling. And so everything always became about intuitive knowledge and
Mm,
learned knowledge along the way, not academic knowledge. And yet there was so much that's in that book, I'm Not Selfish, Not Easily Manipulated. My chapter in there was on this expectation of academics to define who you are and to measure who you are on how important you were. And I think the gift I was given was not to be academic, to be intuitively taught, to go through life experience and understand the knowledge, because I feel I'm more in divine truth than I would be if I had become an academic.
hmm.
Because an academic is seeing things from the earthly point of view and needs, and not the spiritual point of view.
Well, and I agree with that because I really struggled through school, like
Hmm.
being a dyslexic and just,
Me too.
um, and now, like, yeah, school would have been so much more different. And it's interesting because I ended up getting together some high school friends just by happenstance, right? It was a Facebook post saying, because
Mm,
two of them met at a wedding and didn't like, one came from the bride side and one came from the groom
you're right.
side, but they didn't know each other. And so they're like, well, let's just see who can get together. And we met out at a country saloon. And and it was just kind of funny because hearing back about, you know, my perception of what high school was to what
Yes.
their
Yeah.
perception of me in high school, and I was like, I would have never got that,
No,
right?
no.
Because they said I was the nurturer, I was the one that they went to, and I'm like, really? And I was just going, frick, I gotta be here all week,
Yeah, I know. Yes.
right? Because I was also caught between town and city.
Yes.
Right? I had my town for school, I had my city for everything. And it's just, yeah, too many worlds. And it just kind of went, this is crazy.
And that's why I think it's so important to look at our children, and if they are going to go into the school system, which desperately needs to change, is to make sure that we don't let them lose themselves
Hmm.
when they enter that system, that you are more than your grades, and that, yes, it's wonderful you're learning, but how do you feel about what you're learning? What else does it mean to you? And to kind of keep that spirit alive at home,
Hmm.
because it's very easy for them to lose that. And then later on in life, it's like, I've been a CEO of a company for so long, I'm very good at it, but there's always been something missing. There was no
Hmm.
soul and heart connection. And how many people I've interviewed that have gone back to something they loved to do as a child,
Hmm.
all right. And because it was no, go and get a real job, or you only important if you making this amount of money. And they followed that path. And then eventually, the cosmic two by four came along and said, no, that's not the path you're meant to be on. And then they followed the path that they were designed for. And it's changed everything about their lives. And,
Well, and like I used to work with the school. Um, I said, "What do you mean you have to apply for your job every year?"
yeah,
They said, "We're a charter school." I go, "What does that mean?" They
means
said,
you never have security and you can never put your teeth right into anything.
"Well, I know, but the thing is like the parents accept them in." And I
Right.
said, "Well, aren't you get worried about losing your job?" No, we do our job.
Mm. And I
We're
suppose
not
that is,
here for tenure, and that's
yes, that's
huge,
good.
right?
Yes,
And then I
yes.
remember a documentary of this. They're trying to help the teachers, and how do we get teachers to stay? Because they're burning out at 5 years,
Yeah, yeah.
right? New teachers, and this one teacher would greet every student. How you feeling today?
Hmm.
Right?
Yes,
And it's a high five, and it's
yeah,
a whatever, right? And then some would come, need a hug, give them a hug,
yeah.
and so they'd know where the vibration is for the classroom.
And set the vibration for
Yeah,
the day as well.
yeah.
It's that's important to have that, whatever the kid is coming from at home
Hmm.
or has had the experience of being bullied along the way, that by, hi, how are you doing? A hug, this, that, etc. High five. Now, this is the energy we're going to work on today,
Hmm.
work with today. And that changes how they're going to learn. Instead
Hmm.
of everybody having different energies and you're trying to bring this one up and that one's down and
Hmm.
this one's this and that one's that, keep it on a lovely even playing field that everybody can orchestrate together.
Well, it is funny. I ran into one of my old teachers from elementary one time, and I was just like, I said, it's really funny that you guys haven't figured out to flip the classroom. And she says, what do you mean? I said, I was always on the door, being an AB, right? It didn't matter. I was always the first row on the door. And she goes, well, where else were we supposed to put you? And I said, put me at the window so I actually hear what's going on in the classroom.
Uh-huh,
Because I was looking out the window. There's a
uh-huh.
whole world to explore out there. I didn't care what was happening in the classroom. But if you put
Exactly.
me on the window, I have to look into the classroom so I hear more.
Yeah.
I go to a restaurant. I can't be having my back to the door if you want me to hear what you're saying. I have to see the whole restaurant. Then I'll
Yeah.
pay attention to what you're saying.
I'm a bit like that as well. I didn't realize that. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, is that once you know that about yourself, it's like, well, honor it because that is where you channel your information, where you receive it. And it
Hmm.
doesn't mean, well, I'm not like so and so. No, you're not meant to be. So don't compare, don't compete. You're not meant to be like someone else. It's who are you? What is the essence of you? What are you here to do? How are you
Hmm.
meant to discover that?
Hmm.
What techniques can you use in order to discover who you are and what you're here to do? And this is what
Yeah.
you do, right?
Well, and it comes back to the tree, right?
Mm,
And I remember years ago, like when playing those like, well, if you're a tree, what? And I said, well, if you're an animal, and I always said the brown bear and
hmm.
the blue whale, and they said, why the blue whale? And I said, the most misunderstood giant, right? Because as a young person, I was big,
Hmm.
so I was always misunderstood. Right?
Yes,
And so, yeah, and so it's just like, but I could give you the best bear hugs.
right, exactly,
Right? And so it's
exactly.
taking in all this little bit of wisdom to express the essence of your heart out.
Which I've always been an eagle phoenix. I
Well, I'm
like
an
being
eagle too.
yeah, but from the eagle's point of view, I see so much clarity in the phoenix because I'm always
Rising.
reinventing. We're
Yeah.
always rising. Doesn't matter how many times I get burnt from those ashes, I rise.
Yeah.
And I actually find it very hard to walk barefoot on this earth because I feel all the vibration. So I can't walk barefoot, but I absolutely love going into water. It's just beautiful conduit and at a place where I really do feel spirit, really does come and talk.
We
So
are a lot alike.
yeah.
Because well, yeah, because I have the eagle in my totem pole too.
Hmm.
And if you follow the human design, I'm the phoenix.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, this is, I think, something that's I'm very thing I do. I'm a true colors coach. Plus, I um, have a program that shows people what their personal strengths are and what the weaknesses are,
Hmm.
and where they're looking at life. And you know, it's about if we know our human trait, we know actually how to allow our spirit to talk to our human trait. And
Hmm.
very often, our human trait may block our spirit
Hmm.
talking to us. So, the more we understand about the human self, the better it is we can embrace the spiritual self. And you know, and I think that's the willing to explore, the willing to go on that self-discovery of how do I find out, what do I need to do, what techniques can I use that can help me on that discovery or help me when I'm stressed or feeling fearful or anything else. So talk a little bit about that, love.
So we have to realize when the fear, the anxiety, the depression is coming up, it's that shadow that doesn't need to be here anymore.
Mm-hmm,
And it's a time to really start to nurture yourself, to come to that tranquility point and listening to your heart, listening to
mm-hmm,
that inner wisdom. Because in my experience, when those are coming up, you're in your head,
mm-hmm.
right? It's saying, do this, do that. And you're like, oh, I don't know how to cope. I don't. And it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing. I'm going to drop into my heart. I'm going to take some deep breaths right now. I'm going to really figure out, is this even me? And as an empath, most of
Mm.
the stuff we're going through isn't ours,
No, no, absolutely.
right? And
Re-
I remember like one time I came out of Costco and I was just like, what is going on? So I did some work on myself before I even got in my car. And then I got home and I'm like, it's still not gone.
mhm.
I'm going,
Picking up somebody else's signature, right?
well,
And
but it was crazy because I
mm,
was like, so what did I do different? Where and I'm like, oh, I went to pick up something in a section I never go to at
mm.
Costco. And it was like, there's a reason I never go down those three aisles. No, no, no. Right. And so it was just, yeah, like and so that's the biggest thing, right? And like it was even when I worked in corporate and I'd always get in first and people would walk by me and not say good morning. And they said, oh, I'm not a morning person. I said, we'll figure it out because you don't walk into a building without saying good morning.
Exactly.
It's common decency,
Courtesy. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And
Exactly.
so yeah, so like don't, like we said, don't deny the tears.
Uh-huh.
Have them, but take that time reflectively and say what was coming out through
That you
this,
needed to address. Mm,
right? Like,
yes.
because I've been doing a lot of soul searching as I work with men. Like, why are they gonna listen to me? What's this
Uh-huh.
chick got to say? It doesn't matter. They're going to listen because I can relate to what they're saying.
Hmm.
I can relate to saying, well, I'm the helper, I'm the fixer, it's like whatever label. It's like I get their heart. That's why
Hmm.
they listen.
Yeah. And
You
of
know.
course, this leads to you do have a sacred men's circle,
Hmm.
which you have a whole program around this. So just talk a couple of minutes about the programs you have, love, and give out the links that where people can sign up or reach you.
Well, you can use the QR code this side. I never know which side it is. To book a free call with me or follow me on LinkedIn. The program is about truly bringing men home to who they are designed, guided to be, their inner gifts that they were told they couldn't have because they had to
Hmm.
be the provider, the father, the supporter. It's getting in touch with their inner child who is shut down at 5.
Hmm.
And um, it's about truly healing the ache that they have in their heart because they know they're here for a bigger purpose, but they've
Hmm.
never given themselves permission to be that.
Uh-huh. Yes. And
So
they don't need anybody else's permission, just their own, right?
but
Hmm.
it's giving them that safe space to share and have camaraderie, and it's okay to let the shield down.
Yeah. So you have other programs as well,
This is the main one I'm working, but well, I guess like I mean, I'm not saying no to women. I always
right?
have my Walk You Home program, and there's also the individual sessions if you want, or I do individual private 3 month coaching that you basically have me for that 3 month time, 24/7 for
I
one on
think
one.
right now, with what we're seeing in the world is that the male energy, in its misogyny and its narcissism and its entitlement, has been brought up to the surface, and we've looked at it and go, but you're not serving the people, you're self-serving. And we're looking at that and going, that paradigm is wrong and we need to change. But for men, we need to give them another way to see life that isn't. Please do not look at that as an example of how to be a man. To truly be a man is also to embrace your feminine side, to your compassion and your consideration and your loving side, and that it's okay to cry, it's okay to love, it's
But
okay to
you
do things.
also but we also have to remember um, we had two, possibly three generations that didn't have men in their life,
Oh, yes,
right?
absolutely. Yes.
And it's also that structure of masculine has been around for 26,000 years.
Hmm.
It's not going to
That
change overnight.
it
So,
isn't. And it's going to require your willingness, giving yourself permission and permission to want to move forward,
hmm
right? To ignite your own heart and soul, to
hmm
allow the process, even if you don't understand the process or it
hmm
feels a bit far out for you. There's
hmm
no harm in going through that process and see where it takes you. Absolutely no
and
harm.
I'm going to add this. Um, if you're being called to work with me in whatever capacity you're being called, answer that call,
Hmm.
because my guides have told me most of the clientele that will come to me is karmic.
Hmm.
It's not about this lifetime. It's the
No.
karmic collective that is saying
Yes.
we are done with that tape.
Yes, exactly. New
Yeah.
programming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm definitely
and
needed.
and it's also you are coming to be the light bearer
Hmm.
of your life. There's no
Be the illumination.
accident. I
No.
have a lighthouse,
Right, exactly.
right? If you're sick and tired of hitting the rocks and going, why is this happening?
Right.
Listen to the light. Come,
Yes.
come
Let it
share.
show you. Let it show you your way. So, would you please share with people, love, the how they men in particular can sign up for that program, where people can go, and all of your other links as well?
So, um, so you can come to LinkedIn. So it's Adele Bernard TC. You can find me on Facebook, Transition Clarity. I also have, you can find some really interesting podcasts on Transition Clarity on YouTube, which is Authentic Conversations with Adele, or on Spotify and all those. Um, and my men's group, I think you'll have in the show notes, but just give me a call and, you know, have that quick conversation if it's for you, if it's not. And if it's not, it's okay. And if it is, we'll get you started right away. Um, yeah.
And I've
So,
got a link here, transition clarity
hmm
dot notion dot site. Is that the right
oh
URL?
no,
Okay. No, I have the
it's
wrong one.
no, well, it's bit.ly at at transition clarity, but the T and the C are capitalized.
Okay. Right. So bit.ly/forward transition clarity.
Yeah, and the T's capitalized and the C's capitalized.
Right. And then you'll find all the information over there. And
Yeah.
on the show page, you'll have a PDF for the men, what kind of things you're offering in the program and how people can reach out to you. And yes, it is time. You know, us as women are being supportive of other women. We know about this, you know, shake up, wake up, and that we need to move forward and we need to do it together, that we need to be the voice and the energy and the loving and the common sense. But we also, for the men that know this is not working, I don't know where to go, I don't know how to feel, I don't know where my path is. We need to help them along the way. It's not about leaving them behind, it's about
No.
actually paving a way for them to walk. So,
And if the women would just allow their men to expand, they'll
yes,
be so much further ahead
yes,
than the women,
exactly. So
right?
it is about everybody in their self-discovery of who
And
they are, what they're here to do, being strong individually, and then you're going to find your partners, you know, in business and camaraderie and love that match that energy.
mhm.
But you know, it's two strengths coming together to make an us. It's not about completing anybody; it's about complementing each other.
Well,
Uh,
and here's just a quick example of how you can complement each other. Women, stop walking past when your husband is doing something, yap, 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 and expect him to hear you.
yes,
They're single focused.
yes,
If you want to understand what you're like, if you don't want the car to go from its oil change and you want the kid to be picked up and you have a weekly meeting, set
mm.
it in the calendar, go through the laundry list. Who's doing what? Where's this going? Are you got this? Okay, we got this. Boom.
And if it's something that's on the spot, have a particular word that you say to them that automatically brings them back to that they need
Yeah,
to pay attention. So have a
yeah.
word between you. And when you say that word, it means that there is no plan here. It's instant and this is what I need. But then when they hear that word, they know that they've got to drop what they're doing and pay attention. Right?
Well,
So
it's
have a
like
word.
being at that dinner party and you're
Mm,
like, you're done,
yeah.
right? And you go, elephant.
Uh-huh.
And then they go, oh, elephant, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You got that word. And it's like, hey, start saying your goodbyes. Start, we're out of here.
Yeah. Exactly. And so,
Yeah.
you know, let us help the men
Hmm.
be as strong and beautiful as they are. They don't want to
Hmm.
be what's up there right now. They want to embrace their light. And,
Hmm.
you know, women, we need to embrace our light because we are shedding that light on the path for others to walk. And the
Hmm.
more people that walk it, the more people that rise up to that higher frequency of love and good, good, good vibrations, divine
And
vibrations, the better we are as a human race.
the more men that embrace this change, the better you're supported,
Yes,
women,
yes, yes, definitely.
right?
And they recognize when to support and when to lead.
Yeah.
And that's what you need in a partner. There's a time where you want them to have reins, or in business, these are your reins, this is your forte. And there's a time for them to recognize the strength in you and to adhere to you. And it's not about ego, it's not about
No.
self-importance, it's about the importance of self, who you are, what you're here to do, and whom you're to do it with.
Yeah. And so it's like take off the mask, be
Yeah,
your authentic self, stop posturing.
yeah, exactly. We need you, but
Thank you.
everybody
Send
needs
your
to step
man, they
up.
keep saying.
Yeah, exactly. And that's for everybody, you know, as a human race right now. The invitation is right now to look at how low we've gone.
Yeah.
Look at how low we've gone. There are, you know, there's no further to go if you don't want demise. We now have to look up and start taking those steps forward to embrace the light of clarity, of meaningful purpose, of love and intention. And that requires every single one of us to step up, to step
Well,
out.
and we've had the demise.
Yeah.
It was called
Or,
the pandemic.
oh, that was just beginning. This is
No,
another
no, but
demise going
I'm
on.
no, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
that was the first wake up call to say
Yes.
the old world doesn't work. How are we going to make it better?
And then we now see politically, you know, the opulent paradigm, um, me, myself, and I, a true narcissism is poster child. And looking at that going, no, no, it's wrong. It's not inclusive. But
But
what am
it's
I?
it's not. It's not. It's exactly how it's supposed to be.
Yes, it is, because
Yeah.
what it's done is he is meant to be here because he's ostracized the rest of the world. And so that's
No,
turned,
he's no different than Hitler.
no,
Hang on.
exactly.
So, but this is so funny. I just heard this with an astrologer. Like it, hate it, it doesn't matter. They're stirring the pot to wake
Yeah,
everyone up,
exactly.
right? But
Yes.
I'm saying, like, as a Canadian, we gotta stop watching what everyone else is doing
Hmm.
because we have our own terror here,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And even though like it's not what we want, I'm like, it's for the highest good. I don't know how it's working out, but I'm trusting all the players are in where they need to be. So we shake this world once and for all, get it over with.
Exactly. The pandemic started it. Now, if it happened just to us, it would be different as Canadians, but it was to the rest of the world. So every rest of the world is standing
Well,
up.
I
And,
know, but so it was Michael Beckwith who said, he says, I was thinking about this, how we're all at home. And it was right at the beginning of the pandemic when he said, never in history
hmm,
of any time have we locked up the healthy and the sick together.
exactly. Yeah.
And he goes, wake up.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, ouch. Right?
And this was part of that whole wake up. As I said, 7 years ago, I was given that saying, and it is a part of the wake up. It is part of the shake up. It is a part of how we're going to step up, how we're going to change it up, how we're going to grow up to a higher frequency. And that is exactly what we are on the journey to do right now. And when you see the worst of the worst out there, it's recognizing you ain't treating the janitor very well. So you're not kind of keeping it
But
clean.
it,
We've got to change the way we do things.
I know, but the thing is like if you're watching the worst of the worst out there, where's the worst of the worst in you?
Yeah.
Because you can't see the worst if it's not in you.
Right. And the thing is, it's an invitation for us to do better because we know that's wrong. And we
Mm-hmm.
know that we have to step up for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can only be good for someone else if I'm good for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it is about the us, collective us. But you've got to be the I first. Right. So that's the important thing is who are you? Why are you? What are you here to do? How can you step up into your own illumination and
Mm-hmm.
shed light on that path? And you put all those lights together, it sheds lights. And what do the people that are out there on the other side of it? They don't like light shed on them. So the brighter we become, the more we're going to deal with what's wrong and the more we can
Yep.
start setting forth what's right. And that's what the whole world has been shaken up for right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
but I have to go. So
Yes. Me too.
and so again, the site is bit.ly/transition clarity, capital T, capital C. You can find her on YouTube, Transition Clarity, LinkedIn, Adele Bernard TC, Facebook, Transition Clarity, Instagram, Bernard Adele. You can listen to a podcast, which you can find on her site as well. And it is all about, there's always a solution, there's always an answer. But sometimes we need somebody else to see us in a way that we don't see ourselves, for us to start doing what we need to do in order to be able to rise up and move forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Adele. This has been great having you here. I know
Thank
we could
you.
carry on talking,
Oh, I know. I
but
know.
if share, don't forget, folks, I always talk about having a podcast party. Share the podcast, listen to it, take notes, and then share afterwards what you got from it.
Yeah.
Because again, sharing the wisdom expands the wisdom. So until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.